Okay, this conversation will be, actually we're working a little bit backwards today. We're starting with the archive and the legacy. And now we will be dealing with Jef Geys as a source of connection and inspiration with other artists. And in the afternoon we will go back to the core of his own practice. It's a little bit like doing a countdown. I'm quite happy to focus with 3 artists on the way Jef Geys as an artist has also been a source of inspiration, information, maybe irritation as well. Jef Geys is known as an artist's artist, which is an artist well known by other artists and also quite influential in the oeuvres of other artists. Jef Geys is not, I think, a big popular artist person. I think outside the art world, he's hardly known. But within the art world, he's like a top reference. And I think he shares this position a little bit with artists like Marcel Duchamp, Marcel Brotaars, and other artists who kind of are difficult to pin down, are not easy to frame, not easy to understand, but therefore very, very open to interpretation and inspiration. I think Duchamp and Brotaars and Jef Geys share the fact that their practice is open and not closed, and therefore open for many, many, many interpretations and follows up. This will be a little bit the focus of our conversation, so I'm very happy to have invited and to welcome here 3 artists. To my left is Guillaume Bijl, a well-known Belgian artist who I think shares with Jef Geys his relationship with reality. In my introduction, I called Jef Geys this morning a realist, not an idealist, but a realist, because he wants to bring reality within his practice and vice versa. I think Guillaume Bijl actually has been doing the same in other ways. We also have next to Guillaume Bijl here to my left Renée Somers, who is a graduate of the Academy of Fine Arts. She graduated last year in our printmaking department. But when I was part of her jury, I saw connections with Jef Geys, and I was like happily surprised to see how a very young artist actually uses or used Jef Geys as a source of reference and inspiration. And to my far left side, there's Liselore Vandeput, whose work I met in Liège in an exhibition in shop windows in the city, and where I saw her presentation on the mother of Jef Geys, to Marie, Anne-Marie, bringing kind of a Jef Geys archive installation. So I also invited Liselore to bring part of that exhibition, that installation here. So to my right, you will see a fragment, a detail of Anne-Marie by Liselore. So I can imagine we can talk about this work as well. We will start our talk with Renée, because we have a small presentation. It's not that long. Then we will go to you, Liselore, and then we will end with Guillaume. And then afterwards we'll have a conversation with you and with the audience. We will try to wrap up around 12:15, 12:20 in order to have a much-deserved lunch break. So first, Renée, the floor is yours. Could you refer a little bit to your work in relationship to Jef Geys, and how did you learn about Jef Geys' work actually as well?
Hello. Yes. I learned about Jef Geys actually in the class that was taught by Johan Pas. He mentioned Kempen's informatieblad, and then I took more of a deep dive into Geys' work, and then I also saw that he was part of one of my favorite exhibitions, was Chambre d'Amis, and then everything about his work and my work kind of clicked together for me, because it was so close, because me as an artist, I draw my inspiration from the place I grew up. It was in Flanders and also was the Kempen. Also his stance in the artist community is for me also like a connection point, because I find it very difficult to put myself as a artist in the artist world, and I have also like this anti-elitist standpoint on it. I think art is intertwined with the everyday experience, and I also draw my inspirations from every pattern I see in my home life, every kind of object I use, and that comes apart in my like way of working. Then when I saw Campus Informatieblad, I was also working on my own publication, what was a gazette. It was really deprived from every Sunday that I saw the newspaper. And then I named it Oost-West Thuis-Best, like the translation kind of is home, safe home. And then it's a really small publication, but it was really nice to connect my publication also with the way Jef Geys did, especially at the Biennale and also his solo exhibition at KMSK. This is my installation that I was graduated with. I looked at the hospices home of the Lage Nederlanden, the Low Countries, and then you see there is like a towel, the crosses I derived from the crosses that were used at the tiles of the hospices, and then everything is an imitation from a known thing, like the banners you see at the coat of arms, towels, the tablecloths, and the thing is everything I can link with every day of life, and for me Jef Geys is the same. Wait, I have to. I'm kind of really stressed. Sorry. Yeah. It's for me, Jef Geys is a really strong person. It's fascinating to see someone be so himself and push the boundaries of being an artist, which I really like. It's something I didn't see as often if I looked up artists. His way of living through the art, I think, is one of the most beautiful things. And I'm really happy that I also got to do a deep dive on him and his oeuvre and his way of publications and spreading the arts that was for the people and made by the people, especially in the Campus Informatieblad, and that I really resonated with, especially my way of working is how I want to have the people be in the work and not my people in front of the work. I think that's really important, that we are intertwined with the work we make, and there's like this big gap now, I think, especially when you just hang a work on the wall and you don't have like this really interaction with it. I think that's the most powerful thing about working in the arts industry, is making connection with people, making the connection with our, like the people that come before us, the objects that we were surrounded by every day. I think it's a really beautiful thing that we're almost just connected by maybe a towel, like or the color or patterns we see every day. I think that's what I feel when I look at Jef Geys' work. It's a connection between everyone, no matter where you come from. Especially in Flanders, we're such a small kind of community, and I think it's kind of beautiful that it brings it all together, especially with the attributes we see every day.
Okay, thank you. As I hear you, I feel that in Jef Geys' work, the local and the social are like crucial references to you. Eh? Being like a local artist, or being able to be a local artist and use local information, and also to connect with other people. Before we go to Liselore, another question. You say, my favorite exhibition, Chambre d'Amis, which was long before you were born. How do you know about Chambre d'Amis? And actually you showed works by Joseph Kossuth, I think, not only by Jef Geys, the bar texts. But how do you know about Chambre d'Amis, and what do you know about it, and why is it your favorite exhibition?
I know it because I think it was when I was studying in my high school, my teacher was a really big fan of it. And then we also learned about Jan Hoed. And the thing is, what it makes a little bit closer? Okay. It makes what's, my God, English. Why it's my favorite exhibition is because you enter the homes. I think for me personally, the best thing about an exhibition is to experience it fully, embrace it fully, and then also use the space you are in. I think it resonates with me, my work. It's because I have a need to take in a room and take the history of the room, and that's why Chambre d'Amis for me is one of the most important exhibitions there was, especially in Belgium.
Yeah. Then I think it's kind of interesting to notice that you studied printmaking, which is basically about making images and frame them and hang them against the wall.
Yeah.
While you're like inspired by situations.
Mm-hmm.
That's my final question before we go into conversation. But why then did you decide to study printmaking and not like installation art, like in situ or sculpture even or whatever?
Because my focus was always with drawing, because it was my closest thing that I learned it when I was like 3. So this was the logical option for me. But the thing is, I wanted to push the boundaries of printmaking and drawing. So it was a logical step to move into the space.
Makes sense, thank you. We'll come back to that. Liselore, Anne-Marie to Marie, I'm immediately fascinated by your work in Liège, which is like one big archive relating to Jef Geys' mother. So that's why I got in touch with you, because I was kind of fascinated, and we were also planning this day, so I was thinking, yeah, we should really invite her, because a young artist doing a work about the mother of Jef Geys, how strange is that? Could you please elaborate a bit on how you got to that work, and also to present your work in general, maybe a little bit?
Okay, yes, okay. First of all, thank you for the invitation. I feel very honored to be here today amongst very important and impressive people. Yeah, so the work itself looks like this. I brought today a bit of a selection of it, focusing on Jef Geys, but it exists in total out of almost 200 documents and items put into plastic sleeves, numbered and put with some scotch on the window of a vitrine, also outwards to a shopping street with a connection to a public life and a public space. Yes. There are also the geraniums that are part of the vitrine, together with the little coffee trays under the geranium to support the water, and the water itself, of course, which is also very important. But before I go into the details of this work, I would actually like to go a little bit back in time, a couple of years earlier, when I was doing my master program in Lucca in Brussels, because this was the time that I rediscovered the work of Jef Geys. Of course, he was a prominent aspect of my art education before, and I've seen the exhibition in SMAC as well. But I think during my time in the master program and writing my thesis, I asked myself the question what kind of artist I wanted to be when I graduated or when I grew up. And previously to my master program, I studied social work. At the time, I had a job also already as a social worker, and so I was really looking for ways to merge and combine my practice as an artist, but also my work as a social worker. Until that point, they had both needed the space and the time to develop separately, but I felt that I was entering a new phase where they had to coexist or merge together in order to be able to find their future for me, or it was choosing or it was merging. It was kind of a bit of, I was kind of at this point. And because they were both equally important to me, I tried to figure out what this would mean to me to combine being a social worker and being an artist. And I think Jef Geys was a very, very important inspiration to that, or an example that I could turn to ask questions or to pose questions on how this would work. And I think his work as a teacher, but also as a citizen, as a human being within his surroundings, was for me a very important source of information. Might not even come close. I think it was more of like a dialogue that I could have throughout writing my thesis.
What was your thesis about then,
it
specifically?
The subject was from the global to the local. And because I was always very interested in very global themes, like, for example, the issue of Palestine, but how to come back to that as an individual, like what is my position in this, and how do I play a situation, like what is my position within that situation as a human being. And then I also created a work on this specific topic, starting from a childhood memory when I was 10 years old or 11, when a teacher of mine told me that we as the West need to protect Israel no matter the cost. We had learned about democracy, and so I kind of questioned this statement of the teacher within the installation I made as my graduation project. And then Jef Geys also came very close into that, on how I would work with the information and the original documents of those times, and how I would present this kind of memory. But there it kind of like entered my work and also the questions that I had. And I think also this feeling of locality, like you said, resonated to me very much. And I felt that I could, and I come back to this later as well, that I could be myself in my own work, that I didn't have to make a fashionable, beautiful, perfect, gallery-ready object as an artist, that I could use the things surrounding me that interested me, the stationery, the daily objects that I had in front of me, as I could pull them into my artistic practice, which to me was a relief at some point to be able to do this. And so then I graduated, and a couple of months later, it was my birthday, and my roommate at the time handed me a plant. I was a bit confused in the beginning, and then she stated that through her mother, this plant had once belonged to the mother of Jef Geys, which was a bit of a shock to me, and I think it was a bit overwhelming.
And she was serious about it? It was not like a joke, or?
No, it was not a joke. I was a bit overwhelmed, and I think throughout the entire project, this was a very overwhelming responsibility also. So she had received a plant, and then I had one of the, I don't know how you say this in English, when you multiply from the same original plant. Stekker in Dutch, but okay. So this was then one of the multiple plants that existed right now. And so I started spending a lot of time with this plant, and The entire project is kind of a continuation of questions that came while spending time with this particular plant.
It was like a geranium, no?
Yeah, it was a geranium. Well, it's been also a question if that's the actual name for the plant as well. I know we call it like this in the Volksmond as like a sort of like a cultural easy thing, but then it might not always apply to everything that we call a geranium. I started with the project asking like, what is the name of the mother of Jef Geys? Because to me it was very important not to name a woman to the relationship she has towards men, but also to identify this person as an individual person. And so my search started from there, also being a bit careful because I didn't want to claim something I didn't have the right to claim. I don't claim a personal relationship to Jef Geys nor to Marie. And then this continued with other questions around the plant, the name of the plant, but I also started appreciating the plant itself enormously as a plant that has always been present in my life, but been in the background very much, and being extremely modest, and also giving this feeling of locality, like a familiarity, a feeling of home, or the home of somebody we know, of my grandmother in my case, but other people have other connections with this plant. And it's
also kind of a humble plant, no?
It's a very humble plant. I feel like you only notice when it's not there anymore, or this was my feeling to it. And yeah, so I started developing this relationship, but also I started understanding that this feeling of locality is something that we share on a much more of a global scale, which then I also find rather fascinating. That's my father-in-law in Iran has the same plant in his garden as I do, so many thousands of kilometers away. So this is one aspect, and there are a lot of different things that come back in this project. And as I mentioned before, I have somewhere a note in the archive that says that Jef Geys gives me the permission to do what I like to do, and not what I think that I have to do. And I think this also refers very much to giving me the permission to have fun with my practice and do what I like, and use the banality of certain objects that are surrounding me to play with those, and not having to conform to a certain aesthetic that maybe is more frequented by other artists in my surroundings, but that I can be myself, my weirdo self in a certain way.
But Liselore, at the same time, sorry to interrupt, but at the same time, you use an aesthetic which is derived from Jef Geys' archival strategies?
Yes.
Which might be considered kind of highbrow as well, no?
But for me, it came very naturally. I didn't, I think I have been archiving also my entire life in a way. It was more of like a natural inspiration that I took, rather than saying like, oh, today I'm gonna archive like Jef Geys would do, or in a similar way. It was more, I felt this connection, and I might have like played with that for the making of this work, but it didn't go against my own, yeah, it really felt in one flow. And then I think what is also very important to mention is that Jef Geys made me reappreciate my own language, the handwritten of his work, but also the use of Dutch. I sometimes feel like I have to do things in English, and like today. But that the English is very important in the art world today, and by making this project, I wrote it in Dutch, the questions, because I also felt like if I would make this and address it to Marie, I might want to do this in Dutch, because that's the mother tongue we both probably have in common. And so for me, it was important that although she will never see the work in that sense, I at least make it approachable to who she probably would have been if she would have seen it. And so I reconnected in this way to my mother tongue as well. Yeah, and then I also, maybe to finish up, I would like to say also that although I have been looking at the work of Jef Geys for this and before and probably much after, I find it very fascinating how I couldn't claim that I know his work at all. It is an artist that keeps on surprising me, keeps on questioning myself and how I look at his work. And that I keep on thinking, did I get this right? Did I actually understood this correctly, or am I actually looking at something totally different? And I really like this ambiguous relationship that I have to the work of Jef Geys, because it keeps me on my toes, and I think there is more that can grow out of this.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll go to Guillaume Bijl now. The difference between Guillaume Bijl and Renée Liselore being that he has known Jef Geys personally as a fellow colleague artist. So I invited Guillaume also to kind of share some of his thoughts and experiences on and with Jef Geys.
Jef Geys was a very controversial artist, and yeah, also strong character, and also a little bit a diva, like they call it, but he could be also very funny. But strange thing, he was very doubtful with the art world, with galleries and with collectors and museums, etc. Like very early, he decided not to go to his own, to his own openings. So one time he had a big show, a solo show in the Middelheim Park in Antwerp, and yeah, and Jan Verkruijsen was there, and he said, "Where is Jef Geys? Where is Jef Geys doesn't come. He doesn't come to his opening." Yeah, this is one example from his controversial, strong character. But one time he was also invited to quite good international exhibitions like Documenta and Biennale of Venice, and in Le Magasin in Grenoble, and in Sao Paulo Biennale, and I went also to the opening from the curator M. Weser, one of the last good documentas these days, and and he was there on the main building with Joël Teulings and other friends, and I said, "Jef, you never go to openings." And he said, "Yeah, but Documenta, I make an exception." So he did it once in Documenta. What is also funny to tell, when he was in the Biennale of Sao Paulo, yeah, I think also in the 90s, he didn't went there. He made a big work in Let It Execute, and it was shown there, and it was also with Leo Kopers and some other Belgian artists. He didn't went there, but my wife Uli, she's Austrian, and she made a Belgian group show in Vienna in a gallery. So Jef Geys did not go to the Sao Paulo biennial opening, but he went to Vienna. He came to Vienna to see the exhibition and helped making. He didn't went to the opening. Yeah, it was also extraordinarily strange figure. He once had a bar, and also the bar became also like a sex club. And on the sex club, there was a sign, normale prijzen, normal prices, he said. Yeah. His catalogs were never a good overview from his work. It was more like artist books. And also what is particular on Jef Geys, artistic steps, is that when he was invited to Documenta or to Le Magasin in Grenoble or to Sculptuurproject Münster or Biennals, he showed quite invisible works, not a sensational serial of paintings or sculptures. No, in Documenta, he showed the film from 24 hours, where everybody looked 1 or 2 minutes. He showed all his archive from photographs from Balen, where he lived in his environment. In Sculptuurproject Münster, where he could make big sculpture and international scene and appreciated. He did something with a church, with a forklift that people could go high on the church to look to the decoration of the church. So he was in Flemish tegendraad. What is it in English?
Tegendraad in English,
controversial.
Yeah, a bit controversial.
Yeah, controversial. Also towards galleries, he was against the art world in general, and also against galleries. Like he also had at the end of his life, a show, Gallery Schwarzer. Yeah, instead of showing sculptures or paintings or whatever, he hanged some text on the wall with some photographs, completely against commercialism. Yeah, he was also an artist, and I'm also in fact an artist. I'm also not really a gallery artist. I make big installations and I borrow furniture from firms and things like this. He's also a little bit arte povera. He's and working in all kinds of materials, photographs, video, objects, installation works. And what is fantastic now is WIELS, his overview. It's quite compact and very interesting exhibition that he never would show like this. But now in WIELS, it's a fantastic overview, a sort of retro perspective. Also the publication of Kepis Informatieblad, black and white, not looking beautiful, looking like 50s newspaper, is also controversial. It's always a little bit double. Also his humor was very, very double. And what he also was, he was also quite an activist as an artist. And he wrote strong letters to the Ministry of Culture for the artists, more subventions and the artist statute and things like this. So he did this on his own, a whole correspondence with ministry people and ministers. And on a certain moment, I was I was a long time in the NCC, New International Cultural Center, and we also were involved with artists. It was for and through artists. And we also went to ministers and complained about the subventions that were peanuts and things like this. What he also did all his life. And on a certain moment, I phoned with Jef and I said, don't you want to join the NSSA, our social aspect? And he said, no, Guillaume, I'm too old for this, but I will make a multiple that you can sell as his bijdrage on the beautiful multiple soort plakkenboek.
It's there in the exhibition.
And also an aspect of this controversial figure is that 7 years he did a strike. He did a strike for not exposing at all, which is remarkable and was very consequent because he hated society and the art world particularly. And then Jan Hoodt, I think from 1973 to 1980, he didn't expose. He didn't stop making art. He was very busy still making art. But yeah, he did a one-man strike, which is remarkable. And Jan Hoodt took him then back in the SMAC for an exhibition, and then he started showing again. And also, what is also a little bit anecdote is in 1996, also there was Chambre d'Amis, and he was in the show from Jan Hoodt, and but he was also invited by Casper Koenig in Initiatief d'Amis in Ghent, and Casper Koenig invited as Belgium artist, Jef Geys and Guy Rombouts, and Jef Geys, Guy Rombouts, Chantal Akkerman, myself, Renée Heijvaart, and Raoul de Keizer, but we were planning, and there was a maquette, there was a model made from the exhibition space from Casper Koenig, and Jef said, he talked quite loud. My wife think he didn't hear so good, but he talked quite loud always. And he said, oh, look, and if we do this and do this. And then Casper Koenig said, Jef, we're not in the army anymore, because when he was 18, he went professional military. But after 3 years, he saw it was not his aim, and he became an artist. Yes.
Guillaume, thank you. No, it's a very interesting list of insights. My question, of course, also is, when did you for the first time see work of Jef? Do you remember when and where? I saw quite early on the
in the Conscient Plan, there was this gallery.
Contact.
Contact. And I saw one of the first exhibitions in the 60s, in the late 60s. I saw the exhibition with the plants.
The vegetables.
The vegetables.
The eatable art exhibition.
Yeah, it was shown also some years ago from Ronnie van der Velde in the Muka, in the box.
You see that exhibition in '67?
Yeah, I saw it on the window. I saw it on the window. Yeah, I was also already not exposing, but yeah, a young autodidact artist, like also Jef Geys was, let's say it like that, autodidact.
Yeah. And when did you meet him personally for the first time? Do you remember?
Yes. Yeah, we were together in a gallery like Jos Chamar. Jos Chamar was a gallerist and also collected a lot of works, and we were in the same gallery. And I was also in a show in the 80s in Mol. I did Eurotax Mol installation, and that's where we also met. Yeah, and I met him also. Oh, yeah. No, I met him several times, and we had a good relation, and funny talks.
One more question, Guillaume, before we turn to the audience. Is there in any way a connection between Jef's work and yours, because you both touch upon reality, like the eatable vegetables in '67 and your transformation installations? I think there's many connections. Were you in a way informed or inspired by his practice, or did it completely develop separately?
No, I was not influenced by Jef Geys' work, neither by Marcel Broodtaars. But of course there is a relation, sure, also the social aspect in my work comes also in the social aspects of Jef Geys' work. No, sure, there is a lot of,
there's a correlation, but not like a causal relationship.
But not like influenced. I'm more influenced by the Dadaist or Aconchi or Arti Povera or something.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. Then we turn to the audience. Any question or remark or reaction? Not? Okay, then we will be wrapping up. Thank you very much for sharing your ideas, information. Thank you.